I said that your first steps when it comes to entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship doesn't mean that you're necessarily have like, oh, a product to sell, or you doesn't necessarily mean you have a brick and mortar or whatever. Really, entrepreneur is someone who builds a business, right? And guess what? You can have a strong idea that turns into a business. Guess what? Issa Rae is an entrepreneur. She built a business around her creativity, right? That monetizes. So just because don't when you think of the word business and entrepreneur, don't always think of like someone in the financial industry or someone whatever. And y'all please continue to like, thank you so much. Don't think it's like someone in the financial industry or someone who's doing, whatever. It's taking your ideas, bringing it to life, taking your passions, bringing it to life, taking what you're interested in, bringing it to life and doing it in a way that can monetize, meaning people consume it enough that you can make money doing it. That's all that is. And so sometimes we get into all these archetypes around what it means to be an entrepreneur, and that's really what it is, right? So the first step is organizing the business, starting out with the vision. Now, I always say this is key. One, because before an idea comes to life in the natural realm, in the world, the idea first comes to life in your head. It comes to life in your head first. So before it becomes real in life, it has to become real in your mind. And some of you, and many of you, have ideas that are very, very real in your mind that you never turned into a business, and that you never even took the steps to bring the realness of it. And this is what's crazy. I met with someone last week, awesome girl, right? And she has a passion for songwriting. So I'm thinking, okay, this is something that she's done. She said she's written a few songs. By the time we were done with our meeting, she took her phone and just started scrolling songs like this. I'm like, girl, if you don't, so you done put time in to where you literally have 75, 80, 100 songs in your phone that you've written the words to, you've gotten all this other stuff, but you just fear taking that next step. That makes absolutely no sense. Thank y'all for coming in. If you're just joining, we're talking about planning and organizing and getting your ideas together so you can bring it to life. And we're starting off with the basics of business strategy. So thank you so much for following Amina. I really appreciate that. Y'all continue to like and like and like so we can get more people in here, because there's so many. For every problem that we see in the world, there's someone who has not stepped out on faith about their idea. For every problem that we see, every problem in a neighborhood, every problem within a family, every problem with children, every problem in society, every political issue, every financial issue, every creative issue, every problem that we see, there's someone who has not stepped out on faith to do that thing, whether it's through a nonprofit, whether it's through advocacy, whether it's through a business, whether it's through real estate development, whether it's through education, whether it's through music. Like if you're like, look, all this music is trash, what have you made? Whether it's through just whatever we have to complain about, there's usually someone who has an idea that can be the answer to said complaint. And you know what's funny? In the Bible it says God gives us a vision and our gifts as an answer to life's complaints. Ain't that crazy? Like for every problem that you're like, man, something's wrong with my money, you had an idea that would fix your money. You just haven't capitalized on it yet. You haven't started the process. It doesn't mean you're going to capitalize immediately, but you haven't gone through the process of capitalizing on it yet. So y'all, please continue to tap the screen, like, so that way, we can show we got some good stuff going on in here, and that you don't just have to booty shake online to get likes. So anyway, so that's why you need to establish a vision. So first off, you need to have a vision for what you want your life to look like. Because sometimes we can start a business. Thank you so much for liking, Amina. There's sometimes where you can start a venture and the venture be out of alignment with how you want to live your life. And so, for instance, I went to the dentist recently, and I have an amazing dentist. I love her. Shout out to Dr. Reddy. She's amazing. But one of the things she talked about was, look, like they make good money. They do their thing. But one of the things that I didn't think about is like, that's a life where you're always standing. Like you're going to be on your feet all the time. Like, you know how you go into a doctor's office, they may sit in a chair or pull a chair up if you go to OBGYN or, whatever, right? Dentists, they're not sitting down. They have to stand up for the majority of their day. So that's one aspect of lifestyle, but even thinking about schedule, how much time do you spend? Does this dream require that you're going to do a lot of work at nighttime? Even recently I wrote the script. I was like, look, Lord, I want the script to come to life. You gave me this idea, whatever. I went and visited and my friend invited me on set for a movie being filmed. And I was like, oh, I get what this life is like. I got a stronger picture of what that life would be like. And I think it's important for you to really think about, how do you imagine your life? How do you want to spend your time? Where do you want to live? What do you want your financial picture to look like? What do you want your family to look like? What is in the vision? How do you want things to feel? What's the dream? And then you create the business to be the vehicle for the dream. Most of the time, people do the opposite. They will establish a business and they'll make the business the dream. But that's supposed to be the vehicle. We're not supposed to find our identity in the thing that we do. Now, I'm someone that's extremely purpose driven. And so when I feel like I'm not accomplishing God's purpose for my life, I just feel very upset. But that's one of my highest roles, is a daughter of God. Like, okay, Lord, what is it I'm supposed to be doing? And like, I like to make my daddy happy. Thank you so much for liking it. Welcome. So that's something that is a big part of my identity, but that may not necessarily mean just in business or coming on this live and imparting this information with you all or what have you. So you got to really make sure that you do that. This is why I've seen so many people who will establish the business, and then next thing you know, they stop living their life. And then they grow to resent the thing that they worked so hard to build. So you don't want to do that. So that's the first step to organizing a business, is understanding what it is. Thank you so much for y'all liking. That's the first step to organizing a business, is understanding, hey, what's my life vision? And let me make sure for what I'm organizing to support that vision and to be the vehicle to drive me closer to the life that I want. Let me make sure this thing is in alignment with the life that I want. Another example I'll give you, running a restaurant. Running a restaurant is very, very hard work. It's a difficult business to be in, but it is a doable business. And there are people that they would just do that. They do that very, very well. The first couple years of running a business is spending a lot of time in a restaurant. It's long hours. You have to be there consistently. You're building your team, and mainly because of, think about restaurant hours. Most restaurants are open from lunch until dinner. So they have to be present for the times in which people are hungry and looking for a meal. Those are long hours, because most of us eat lunch at work and we have dinner at home. That means if you're running a restaurant, you're there for lunch and you're there for dinner. You've got to be there for when everyone else is on their way home. You've got to be open and available for them to consume your product, because that's what makes sense for a restaurant. People aren't eating lunch at 4 p.m. So they're eating, and they're not eating dinner, at 1 a.m. So they are, or you can be if you're a late night spot, but that's what I'm saying. It can go from lunch to 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, depending on the type of market you're in. It's nothing to be in Atlanta and go to a restaurant that's open at 1 a.m. Y'all, excuse my dog's barking. I don't know. The dogs next door are like their arch enemies, and that's just what they do. They just stare at the window at each other and bark. So anyway, so you really have to get really connected to what it is that you want to do, in your business. Now, this is the second side when it comes to business planning. All right. Is you want to make sure that you organize the business. And what I mean by organizing the business is you have to have a strategy that allows you to grow the business and to be effective. And so that's what I'm going to talk to you guys today about, which is role planning. Now, there's a couple of ways that we can do this. I have this on YouTube as well, but I'm going to show it to you guys today. And I created a workbook and everything to go with it. And this is just a planning thing. And like I said, this isn't going to be the thing that makes or breaks your business. If you want to go into full detail or whatever, click the link in my bio. I can coach you and walk you through this for your individual situation. But this is just like a general overview of how you want to plan your business. So I am not a naturally super organized person. I'm not. I never have been. I never will be. Right. But I do have strategies that I use to make sure that I'm still able to grow and push forward the things that I need to, meaning I can take care of business and I can still keep my house in order, although I'm not a type A person. So it's planning and strategy that works well for me. I remember one of the best compliments and worst compliments I ever received was one of my really good friends who used to be my roommate when I was in California. She was like, "Girl, I just remember, thank you so much." She was like, "Girl, I remember when you were such a hot mess." And thank y'all. Please like and share the live. Pierre, like the live. Thank you so much. Just keep tapping the screen. Boom, 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 boom. So I remember she would say, like, "Girl, I just remember when you were such a hot mess and you didn't have any of your ish together." And I'm thinking, honey, I don't know if I still have all of my ish together, but it's been a process. And she's like, "Yeah, you used to just leave your clothes on your bed and never fold them, just have them on the bed." I'm like, "Look, now I do fold them eventually, but they're at least in laundry containers. And then I have a day like, look, I'm gonna wash them all up, and then I'll just have one day where I fold them, or 2 days. Like, look, let me take 30 minutes, do this, do that, do that." And so I'm sharing that to say I'm not a naturally organized person. I'm not. But what I've learned is how to strategize in a way to where I can still be effective. So when I first was running my business early as an entrepreneur, what they tend to teach people is about efficiency. But when you're leading a company, efficiency does not necessarily mean effective. And so when you start running a business, you can't always think you've got to start thinking like an entrepreneur and not like a worker. So like many people who work within a company, they're very efficient because the job that they requires them to do is like, look, this is your job, just finish this. So it's all about efficiency, time, organization, this and this and that, and just producing the thing in which you've been hired to do. But when you start leading and you start growing an organization or growing your idea, you have to move from just focusing on efficiency to focusing on being effective. Meaning, these are the things that we're trying to do. How am I pushing these ideas, and how am I pushing these strategies forward? Because when you're an entrepreneur and you're a leader, you're the person that's navigating the boat. So now you got to focus on effective navigation, effective strategy, goals. You've got to hit these markers, and it's not always about do, execute. You got to be able to think and say, okay, what is my role in all of these things? And so that's the planning method that I'm going to show you guys today. Thank you so much for liking it. That's the planning method in which I'm going to teach you guys today. And so this planning method is based upon roles instead of a to-do list. Roles instead of a to-do list. And what you want to do And leaders, remember, the goal is to be a leader. Leaders don't focus on just everything that they have to do. They look at their roles and they prioritize what they're doing based upon the roles that they have. And so if you don't do this, what you'll end up doing is trying to finish everything. And then typically the things that are the biggest things that you need to do get left undone. When you plan based upon your roles, hey, what's up, Chrissy? When you plan based upon your roles, you start off with your priorities and then you fill everything else in between. Why? Because your priorities are what pushes your strategies and your goals forward. Most of the things that are just on your list of things to do, that's administration. But leaders work on the business and not in the business. And it's not that you can't work in the business, but they prioritize working on the thing instead of in the thing. So for instance, a second ago, I was like, look, let me throw some laundry in here. No, that's not a priority. The priority is getting on here, talking to you guys, and recording the content that I have. The best part about laundry and housework is it ain't going nowhere. It's exactly where you left it, right? So you focus on your priorities. So the first part of the role planning is establishing your roles. So just go through your life and just really think about, like, what all roles do I have? And I have this workbook. I'll show you guys. I put it online. If you go on my YouTube and look at the last video, which should be in the link in my bio, but I'll put a link towards it there too. It's a workbook that you can put into GoodNotes. I put everything in GoodNotes now, and you can fill it out. And I filled it out with a pen and paper, and I went through it myself. So, and I can put a check next to schedule now because I did do my schedule. So the first thing you want to do is you want to establish the roles that you're in. Establish the roles that you're in. For me, mine were daughter of God, wife, stepmother, entrepreneur, property owner, dance teacher. I'm a daughter, a friend, and a family member. And so those are all of my roles. All of my roles. The second thing that you want to do with this is you want to establish some goals, some definition to said roles, right? Like, what's the function of this role? Sometimes we get in trouble because we're doing something and we're going beyond what is required for that role. So you'll sit there and you'll get caught up taking on all these activities, all these responsibilities, all these things. And you're like, look, that's not even my job. And that's the beautiful thing about when you have some definition behind the roles that you're in, when you put some definition into it. And so, for instance, if you're an entrepreneur, what's the definition of an entrepreneur? We just definitely went through that, right? The definition of an entrepreneur is a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses, right? Taking on greater than financial risk in order to do so. So it's like, look, you're saying you're an entrepreneur, you want to run your business, et cetera, but you also, thank you so much for the heart. But you also don't want to invest financially. That makes absolutely no sense, right? Absolutely no sense. So, or for instance, a wife. What is the definition of a wife? What does a wife do? What doesn't a wife do? And when you go into a mother, a coach, this is something that I had to learn the hard way, is that I had to remember that my job as a coach is not to actually get you to do the thing. So a coach is a private tutor, one who instructs and trains, and to instruct, direct, or prompt as a coach, or to train intensively. There's been times where, I've coached people and I find myself really pushing them to do something. That's not the job of a coach. A coach is supposed to train and give you the information, to train and give you the information. If you, are getting the information and you do nothing with it, that's on you. And so there were times where I would be burnt out and say, like, look, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. Why are people wasting my time? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? And I realized that it wasn't the fact that they were wasting my time. I was going beyond the definition of what a coach is supposed to do. Like, and so when you step outside of that definition and you end up tired, you wonder why. And this is all about, because remember, the goal is for you to be in a place to where you're not wasting a lot of your time, because you only have but so much time. And sometimes we'll feel that we're really disorganized, or we'll feel that we don't have enough time to do the things that we want to do. Only just to find that it's not that you don't have time. You have things that are wasting your time and distracting you from the actual role that you're supposed to play with this thing. Thank you so much for sending that. That is so dope. So you're wasting your time with that, right? So you really need to go in and just look at like all the roles that you have in your life and have some definition. So write down, look, I am an entrepreneur. I'm a father. I'm a son. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. I am and you can put project manager. I am a whatever. And you just go down the list. Go down the list of everything that you do. Put definition to it, right? Put definition to it. What do fathers do? Thank you so much for sharing. Y'all continue to like and share. We're going to get into this thing because y'all need your time back. You need your time back and you have to be more efficient. So what do they do? And then the next step is, for everything that you do, you have to establish goals for that. You have to establish goals for that. Now, the way that you plan this is really how you make sure you get the most out of your week. And you would repeat this step. You would repeat this step every single week, because you have time to do the things that you need to do. You just got to take all the extra out of that and handle your priorities first, right? And then handle everything else in between. Why? Because until you handle your priorities, everything else that you're doing is really a distraction. It's just filler. And it doesn't mean that those things aren't important. They're just not urgent to your growth. They're not urgent to your growth. And so when you prioritize the things that are urgent, to your growth and what you're looking to do, then the rest of that stuff makes sense. And let me tell you, you will find yourself in feeling stressed and anxious when you've handled everything but your priorities, because your priorities are linked to your destiny. Your priorities are linked to your vision. Your priorities are linked to your purpose and your function, and everything else is just maintenance to make sure that life keeps going. So when you don't handle your priorities, you can feel your life staying stagnant and feeling stagnant. You can feel your business feeling stagnant. You haven't done the things that's going to grow your business. You haven't done the things that's going to find you your new customers. You haven't done the things. Yeah, all those things they don't necessarily add value, right? So write out goals. So for instance, for me, one of my first things is, look, I'm a daughter of God, a woman of God. So I need deeper anointing, more word. I need to bring more people to Christ. I need to do that. So I know one of my first priorities is making sure, look, am I reading the Bible? Am I praying? Am I doing this? Why? Because that impacts everything else that I do. My abilities to come on here and talk to you all and to shine light on things, even having ideas of, hey, what do I need to teach? What do people need to hear? What's really going to help people? All of these things, that is a big part of that. My goals as a wife, my goals as a stepmom, my goals as an entrepreneur. And you start there and then you work your way back. Now, the third step in doing this is even establishing priorities within all of your roles. Hey, what's number one? What's number two? What's number three? No, it's number four. No, it's number five. So as you do your weekly planning, which you should be doing weekly, right? You plan for your priorities first. So like as I'm writing out my schedule, and I'm filling in the top list of my priorities first. Sometimes what we end up doing is we start with what's least important and we put that on our schedule first, and then we try to schedule in our priorities. And then we'll get really upset when we miss it. But you got to start off with your priorities because those are the things that you really can't miss. And then you squeeze everything else around that in between. So, and putting, and I literally wrote this in on here, where I just wrote down, hey, what number is this? And I just went through, even if I didn't write them all in order, I went back and prioritized them. Like, oh, okay. So as I'm setting up my schedule, I'm getting this thing done. So you set up your roles, you set up your goals within that, and then you go into the next area. But before we do this, I want you guys and comment right now. Thank you so much for joining, Coco Queen. So, and what we're talking about today is we're talking about how to organize. And many of you have great ideas and you're entrepreneurs and you're building upon your ideas, or you are working on becoming an entrepreneur. Basically, you have something that you're bringing to life. And the definition of an entrepreneur is a person who organizes and operates a business and taking on greater than normal financial risk. So the first step to entrepreneurship is organizing. You're organizing a business. Sometimes we get into the idea of like, oh, I'm just making money. You've got to organize the business to make money. And you'll never capitalize on making the money until you take the time to organize said business. And I'm just giving you a formula that works very well for me, that focuses on effectiveness rather than just efficiency. Efficiency is just, how can I get all of these things done? You can get a whole bunch of stuff done that's not effective for pushing the business forward, for building, for growing, or anything. And I've spent times like that to where I was like, I know I'm not an organized person. So I just spent my time on like time management, being efficient, getting all these different things done, not realizing that the things that I was doing was working in my business, but it wasn't working on my business, meaning it wasn't growing the business. When you work in the business, the only thing you're doing is maintaining where your business is now. That's it. You're just maintaining the exact place that your business is in now. And y'all, I've done this so many times. And I even have to get back to reminding myself about effectiveness, because most of the world operates on efficiency. But it's because most of the world, like, everyone has the potential of being a leader, but most people are not operating in leadership and aren't really pushing for leadership. And so they can afford to work on just being efficient because they may be in positions or places in life where they're just thinking about, look, I just got to be efficient. I have to be efficient. I have to be efficient. And I've seen this so much with my clients, to where I've literally had clients that have been entrepreneurs for a decade, but they're mentally still operating as though they're an employee. So they're always thinking, I got to do this. I got to call this person. I got to return this email. I got to talk to this person. I got to make sure payroll's done. And they have this long list of things to do, but their business is stagnant because they're not thinking about strategy and effectiveness. Your first goal as a leader is to be effective in your strategy, growth. How can I produce the results that we need? How can I navigate and drive this thing in the way that we have to go? And that's why you have to change your mindset from, I got to get this to-do list done, to, hey, what are the roles that I'm in? What are the roles that I'm in? And what is effective in this role? Meaning, Am I like all these other things that I'm putting in my schedule, I'm not supposed to be doing anyway. And the moment I begin doing that thing, thank you so much for liking the moment. And y'all, please continue to like and share, because this is something that I promise you, if you do this consistently, will revolutionize your business, because things change when you change your mindset about it. And when you change your strategy, typically the outcome changes. So how can I be most effective? And based on my role, because sometimes people think I'm showing up, I'm doing my job, I showed up in my business, but you didn't show up as the business owner. You showed up as an employee in your business. You hire employees to support the strategies that you've come up with. So if you want to be an effective business owner, an effective leader, you have to show up as the leader and make sure you fulfill that role. Because even if you show up, if you're not fulfilling the role of being the navigator, the strategist, the person who creates, hey, this is where we're going, then although you showed up, you really didn't show up. You're just there. You're just there. But it's something that we all do if no one ever points it out. And sometimes people will just never point it out. Like, look, you're the lead. You're the leader of this. I remember one time I was teaching these lessons and I had a group together, and it was for dance. I also teach dance, and that's a passion of mine. And I remember one of the guys in the group was like, and it was so funny because in business, I always had my leadership mindset on. But in this particular group, I was like, you know what? I'm dancing. I'm having fun. Yeah, I'll teach y'all, whatever. And at one point, one of the guys says, look, Yannick, we're waiting on your leadership. What are we supposed to do next? Where are we taking this thing? And I was like, oh, snap. These people are looking for, hey, we're taking all these lessons, we're dancing, we're getting better. What is this leading up to? And I was like, look, we out here having fun, you know? And so you may be in a situation to where you're operating this thing, you're coming up with this idea, but people are saying, look, we're waiting on your leadership. That's the difference between being efficient and being effective. When you're in leadership, you have to be effective and you have to go on these roles with the mindset of where am I taking this thing? What's needed? What's the strategy? What's this? So the first step, like we said, was defining your roles. Then, and establishing and really looking at what all roles do I play in this life? Who all am I impacting? Who all am I influencing? And even if I put in like, okay, I'm a part of a family. What does that mean? I have to go to the Bible and say, God, why did you establish families? And then I was like, oh, I see. You want us to keep, your laws and your ways within the family. Like that's a mini network of society. So my job as a family member is to help promote your ways within the family. So that way, when people in our family go out into the world and do things, we're doing it the way that you would do things. Okay, I get it. I get it. A family isn't just supposed to be for us, switching memes and everything like that. And I was like, one thing that I had been leading was a family prayer call where we get on the phone, we talk about what's going on in our lives, we talk about what we're doing, we're talking about this or that. And I had just kind of fallen off on it because I was like, okay, we got those things, we praise you through, you're not in jail, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And I was like, oh, let me make sure I get back on making sure these things are organized. We have a time where we're like, look, every other week, we're going to meet everybody, all the cousins. We come together at 8:00. We're going to talk about what's going on in our lives. We're going to support each other. We're going to do this, that, and the third. We're going to provide each other with solutions and we can help each other out. But you're not going to be going through nothing that, I'm Cousin Pete, right? Cousin Pete not going to be going through something that the rest of the family doesn't know about. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to support you. You're going to be able to air out whatever you're going through in life. We're going to love on you and we're going to pray about it. And I'm like, okay, that's my role. And so I had to say, okay, cool. Like that's my role. What is my goal for that? My goal is we're going to have two family prayer calls a month. So I'm like, look, y'all, this Sunday is one of them. We're going to get on the phone at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So just answer your FaceTime, answer whatever. And, some of us are in Atlanta. Some of us are in New Orleans. Some of us are in Texas. Some of us are, everywhere, but everybody be on there. One of my cousins, he works like doing some sort of something, and he out there with his work gear on at night with a drill and everything else, but he be on there. To the point to where even his little friends on the job be on the prayer with us. Like they be on their heads too. So, but it's beautiful to see, and we've discovered some things. Like, look, friend, you've been going through some stuff. Like, okay, cousin. So figure out what your goals are within each of those roles. Now, the third step is I want you guys, as you're thinking about this, and type it into the chat. What is something that you've been doing that is not your job? It's not a role that you're in. And every time you do something that's not your job, you're taking it away from someone else's ability to do a good job in the thing that is their job. Taking care of too many people. And you know what's crazy is when we're taking care of people that it's not in our role to do, and let's just God put it in your heart. Now, obviously, we're supposed to be feeding the poor and doing all of that, to where I'm like, look, all right, look, let me send y'all money. Let me do whatever I need to do. But whenever you're taking care of people that you're not called to take care of, what it does is it takes away from the people that you're actually supposed to be taking care of. And then it also doesn't expose those who aren't doing what they're supposed to do for them. And I've realized too, and this is what I said when I realized my job as a coach is to provide the information and to train and not to force you to do it. Every time I force someone to do something, or I just push them really, really too hard to do it, it robbed them of the opportunity of what it feels like to motivate yourself. And people have to learn how to get themselves up and to do that thing. They have to learn how to do that thing even when they're tired. They got to learn how to do that thing, even when they're not having a good day. They have to learn how to do that thing even when sales are low. They got to learn how to do that thing even when they're not in the best mindset. And every time you do it for them, you're robbing them of that opportunity to learn how to do despite what could be happening. And so don't rob the people of that. Someone told me this, actually, this was a week ago. For every time I go extra, maybe even longer than a week ago, but either way, every time I go extra on the strong side, it gives that other person permission to be weak. So whenever I push someone and I'm just the strong person, I can strong arm you. I can push this. Yes, you could do it. You could do it. You can do it. Every time I take on that role, I also give that person permission to be weak, because my level of strong is so up here that it allows them to be feeble. And so what I've had to learn is to be here. So it's like, look, where are you going to go? You have an option of going up here or up here, but my job is to just give you the information and you get to choose a direction. And then whatever direction that you choose, you get to eat the fruit of whatever direction that is. So just think about that. So, are there things where you've assumed roles, whether consciously or subconsciously, that are not in alignment with your overall mission? Are you fighting battles that you're not supposed to fight? Are you fighting battles that God never told you to fight? And you wonder why you're tired. Any battle that you fight that's out of alignment with your purpose, all it's going to do is make you tired. And it'll make you frustrated. Sometimes we're battling against things that were never supposed to be a battle for us in the beginning. It was never assigned to us. And then we end up in these situations to where we're fighting for something. We're trying to change people. We're doing all of these different things that was never assigned to us. And then we're just sitting there frustrated. And then we're like, well, why am I frustrated? Because you're not minding your business. You're not drinking your water and minding your business. And the business you're supposed to be minding is not growing because you're not directing it. You didn't give any purpose to it. You don't have any goals for it. What are you building? Right? What are you building? So do that, and just write it down. And I wrote, for myself. Look, I'm here to coach people by providing them with the training, providing them with the information that they can take, not to be someone's emotional dumpster. Look, I'm not a savior. I'm not here to fix you or your situations. I'm here to give you the information to where you can go and learn and do the thing yourself. You know? So the next portion of this is where you actually create your schedule. You create your schedule. This is a little weird, but like I said, I'm going to post this. Actually, maybe I can post it now. Yeah, I'm going to post it now while we're on here, just in case I do have some folks that are like, look, I need this right now. So what you do is you write out your schedule every single week. And the first thing you start off with is your roles. And then before you even put in, like, I got to be on this call, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do that, right? Or let me make sure I'm online on TikTok or whatever. You start with your roles, and then you create goals for said roles. All right? You create goals for those roles. And then what you do is you actually go in. I'm going to try to, maybe if I hold the iPad, y'all know how to work the iPad where it don't move around. I'm trying to show y'all. But you write the goals for said roles. And then what you do is you schedule your activities for the entire week based on those goals, starting with your priorities. So I actually did this on Excel, and I have this on Excel, but I put this in the workbook so that way people can see it. And if you do have good notes and you like to write directly on things, you can do that. But I filled all of mine out on Excel. And then you just write in at what time and when you're going to do all of those things that would make you successful in those roles. Now, remember, you wrote them based on the goals that you have. So if it's for entrepreneurship, right? What are your goals? Swipe down. Yes, swipe down and put it on the @ sign. It looks like an @ sign. Hold on. Y'all so smart. I just now swipe down, he said, and put it on the @ sign. Okay. Oh, snap. I think that's right. Hold on. No. That's not it. That's a timer. Oh, I see. So it's kind of like the lock. Okay. Yes. It does look like an @ sign, but it's like a lock. Perfect. So you go in, you write out all of your roles, your goals within said roles. And then once you set your goals, then you go in and you fill in your schedule based on being effective, not just efficient, in those roles. So then you start your week with everything that makes you effective based upon what you want to accomplish. So like one of my roles is being an effective steward of God's gifts. So mine is not only my finances, my talents and abilities, but also my health. Your health is a gift. And so one of the things I did was I scheduled in, okay, when am I going to work out this week? And that time changed based upon some of my other priorities, but I know that I'm doing the things necessary to steward that part of my life, because my health is a gift from God. Because look, when you don't have your health and that body start doing like this, I don't care what you have planned. So, I want to make sure that I'm honoring that gift as a friend, as a cousin, as a coach, as a wife, as a stepmom. And I just went in and filled in the spreadsheet. Now you've known when you do this, that you're doing the things that make you effective in that role, meaning you're doing the things that are going to grow what it is that you're building. So you're growing your relationships, you're growing your marriage, you're growing your relationship with God, you're growing in your relationship with your kids. Because you ever, like, I looked down, this was last Saturday, and last week I said, you know what, I hadn't done anything fun with my stepdaughter in a while. And there was a time where I made sure I did something just fun with her every week. And so I wrote in that I wanted to do something fun with her on Saturday after I taught my dance class, which she has fun when she comes anyway, because I let her film and use my gimbal. And some of the people in the class like, you don't trust a 10-year-old with with over $1,000 worth of video equipment. But I just said, look, and I told her, I said, I trust you. Hold it with two hands, do it. And so one of the things I put on there was like, look, I have to do something fun with her. So I told her, look, we're going to go skating this week. We're going to go roller skating. When I'm telling you, y'all, it took all of me. It took all of me to take her skating. I was so tired. I had been up early. I didn't go to bed early. And then when I get to the skating ring, they holding the line like it's the club in Atlanta. And then they got all these little teenagers that trying to fill out their little form at the skating ring, but they not really over 18. So they up there trying to finagle. And I was just like, Lord, y'all get y'all kids. Y'all just dropped them off and left them to fend for themselves. So it was just so much. But because it was written in, I felt good afterwards because she was like, today was the best day of my life. She was very dramatic. She's like, today was one of the best days of my life. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, girl, is it? So, but those are going to be the things that when she's older and in our relationship is going to be important to her. Like when she grows up, yes, she's going to learn the lessons that I talked to her about. Yes, we're going to fold laundry. Yes, we're going to do all the things of learning how to clean up the house. But those aren't going to be the things she thinks about. She's going to be thinking about when I was dancing with her on the skating ring, to whatever the hood songs are. Because she was singing these songs. All these songs. They singing Money Long and doing all this. And I'm teaching her how to skate and skate backwards and doing all these things. Those are things that she's going to remember. When I'm old, she's going to be like, look, there was a time where Yanni she was out here with us. I'm just hoping that she still wants me to go skating with her when she's a teenager because, that's the only problem when your parents can skate too. You can't be up in there with your little boyfriend being fast when your mama can skate too and skates good. You got to find somewhere new to go. But, so I never could skate. I moved too fast. Man. Oh, so you was out there trying to run on the skates. Look, when you live in Atlanta, you just I'm from Atlanta. Of course I can skate. Like, duh. Of course we can skate backwards. Of course we can do all of those things. And even me, I'm like, maybe I need to sign us up for some skate lessons so we could take this to the next level because I want us to be in there doing the lawnmower. So anyway, so when you schedule your week this way, you take care of all of your priorities first. All of your priorities get handled first. And then what you do is you fill everything else in between because your priorities are what pushes life forward. It's what pushes life forward. Everything else in between just kind of keeps it flowing well. But when you're leading, thank you so much. When you're leading, right, the goal is to push life forward and to handle the administrative things. And this is the beauty about the other administrative things. As you're building, there was a time where it's like, look, I had a whole lot of stuff going on. It's like, look, let's hire some house cleaners. Let's take our clothes to the laundry, the wash and fold. Let's do this, let's do that, to where that part of life is still being taken care of. But what I'm supposed to be taken care of isn't being neglected due to administrative things. Now, here's a couple of things that I want you to consider as we do this and as you do this. The first thing is don't base this and your planning based on your best day. Meaning, like, one of the things that we mess up with whenever we're planning and whenever we're strategizing is we make it based on our best day. And our best day is like when you got a good night of sleep, you ate right the day before, you're hydrated, nobody called you and put you in a bad mood, there was no issues on the job, there was no, there was no issue, no problems or whatever. And so when you do all of your planning based on your best day, you tend to overpack and you have really, really high expectations of that day. When you plan like this, what it does is it gives you room for things to go wrong instead of expecting that nothing will go wrong. So I don't want you to do that. Um, and another thing that this does is it makes it to where you're effective at self-management. Self-management is key for every entrepreneur. Being able to manage your efforts and being able to think through the efforts that you're making. Like, does this make sense right now? Why does this activity make sense? How does this activity push my initiatives and my goals forward? So you prioritize all of the initiatives that push it forward, and then you handle the business of your life, outside of that, and you put all of those things in last. And so sometimes, and a lot of times this may contradict maybe how you were taught growing up, or, things of that nature. And especially if, I wasn't raised by entrepreneurs. So I had to learn how to think about my day differently and the way that I execute my day. I couldn't just have a long laundry list. And sometimes I realized in the early days of my business, I almost treated my business like a university, or like, because we all go to school, high school, maybe college or whatever, and we're used to receiving assignments and just saying, look, these are all the things that you need to do, and this is when it's due by. And if you do all of these things by the due date, then at the end, you'll get this diploma that could lead you to XYZ opportunities. The business world doesn't work that way. You can do all of the things. Hey, welcome, Anthony B7421. Welcome. I think Dewan or Dewan Bridges. Hey, y'all. So when you're leading something and you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't work that way. You can go and complete all of these activities and still go out of business. You could be at your restaurant every day, cooking, cleaning, greeting customers, all of those things, and still end up going out of business because you focused on doing the things instead of really focusing on your job as an entrepreneur, which is growing the business and managing how those things get done. So you want to organize the business. You organize the business, and then you focus on and you organize the business so that way you can build it. And then you do that at a financial risk. Sometimes we're not growing because we just aren't willing to take any risk. We're not willing to take any sort of financial risk, not investing in your craft, not doing the things. What's up, Journey? Not doing the things that's going to help you to push your initiatives forward. And so when you think about whether it's social movements, whether it's in businesses, culture, how effective they are is always based upon how effectively they organize surrounding their initiatives. So we were having kind of a heated discussion the other night in the basement in my husband's dojo with some musicians, and they were just talking about, like, society and racism and culture and all of these different things. And one of the things that I do remember thinking and saying is, none of that matters unless you're going to organize around your beliefs. If you're not organizing your life and executing your life in a way that supports the belief that you have, then all this is going to do is be a complaint. So you have to, and the goal is, like, there's no incentives for recognizing a problem. There's no incentive, there's no promotion, there's no finances, there's no nothing in the abilities to recognize a problem. All the monetization, all the fruits, all the prosperity, all the growth, all the change comes from not only recognizing a problem, but finding the solutions for said problem, so that way you can push your initiatives forward and so that you can reap the rewards of said initiative. But overemphasizing the problem, the only thing that does is it just makes you angry. It just makes you angry and upset. It makes you angry and upset, and you'll sit there and wonder why, nothing is happening. That's all it does. Absolutely all it does. So really take that time and think about your life. What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to do? How do you want to do it? What are the roles that you play? And this is going to be the outcome. The first ones, you're going to be more effective. The second thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be operating daily with more integrity, meaning your actions reflect your values. I should have been a millionaire. Right. Right. But you still have time. Don't worry about what you should have been doing. You have the opportunity right now. This is what this information is about. Long ago, right? An organization is what, like, one of my prayers is, Lord, give me time. Stop time for me. And the only way to stop time is to get organized, because it's your only non-renewable resource. But you can slow time down when you get organized, meaning you're becoming more effective with the time that you have, and you're pushing forward your life's initiatives with the time that you have. But it's not just necessarily about getting things done. And what I love about this method of organizing is it gives you time to really think through and strategize. You ever feel like you're just doing stuff? You just have, like, I gotta do this, 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 I gotta do this. Woo, 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 woo. And then next thing you know, you're doing all these things, but things just feel like they're staying the same, or you have very little growth in those things. And that's because you didn't really take the time to strategize. It's like, okay, as an entrepreneur, as a father, what's my role? How can I successfully complete this role this year? How can I successfully, what are my goals for this role, first off, this year, right? So maybe your goals are to make $1 million this year. Okay. To make $1 million, you got to be bringing in 80K a month. I believe that's what that is, right? Yeah, 80K a month. Let me get specific. How much money? Is that the number? Okay, yeah. So you got to be making $83,000 a month, or we'll say 84 because it's 83.33, right? Or 83,333 a month. So you're like, okay, cool. So when you really put a number to it, that changes things, because now you have to have an idea or business that you feel like you can build up to being, $83,000 a month. You've got to make $83,000 a month worth of business decisions. You've got to have $80,000 a month worth of strategy. And so one doesn't just happen upon that. You got to really take the time to think. And when you create your schedule based on your strategy and the roles that you play, it's like, okay, as a father, these are my 2 initiatives and my goals for this week. As an entrepreneur, as a friend, as a whatever, as an entrepreneur, this is my goal. My goal is to make $1 million. I've got to have $83,000 a month worth of strategy and ideas and concepts. Okay, what all, based on that, what's my goal for the week? What do I need to get organized? How can I market this? How can I do this organically? How can I do this paid? What's this? What's that? And so it really makes you think, instead of just doing, and hoping that something comes of it. Because once you start really getting into the bag of entrepreneurship, a lot of it is organization and strategy. What's up, Rush? What's up, Levita? A lot of it is organization and strategy. Strategy. And this is what's difficult, is the market right now is flooded with a lot of people with a lot of different strategies. My thing is, find something that resonates with you and ask yourself, how can you blow that thing up? And what makes sense because of it? And look, is this thing that I'm trying to blow up, is there some white space there? Meaning, what is it that I'm able to do differently? How can I position this differently in a way that naturally attracts people to what I'm doing. That's why I say you have to get really close to your vision, because normally when you connect with your life vision and what you feel like you have the gifts to support, and when you connect with the things that you're drawn into, you will find white space because you're not just mimicking what you see. When you don't take the time to establish vision, then what you end up, thank you so much, Bad Apple. When you don't take the time, what's up, S. Michael? When you don't take the time to establish vision, then what you're doing is you're going for a hoop dream. You're just trying to mimic something to make something happen. Like, look, I'm just trying to, look, let me see something. Now, sometimes let me see something work, but normally it's not $80,000 a month work. It's, I got to quick 1,000. I got to quick, 5, I got to quick this here, there. And that's enough for you to take care of your basic needs, but you're not going to reach for, and you are not going to reach that next level for yourself with, let me see something. Now, that doesn't mean that you have an idea and you act scared, because sometimes the beginning processes of an idea is like, all right, let's see what'll happen. But that comes from, hey, I'm in the beginning stages. This is what I want to accomplish. This is my plans. I'm going to keep trying things. And this is actually the lean method of building a business, to where instead of building out something and putting a lot of time and effort into building out something, what you do is you establish the basics of something, put it out there, and see how people gravitate towards it. See how they like it. And then if you're like, okay, they like this, but their feedback was this, like, you put it out there, you see what they like, and then you get their feedback about it. And if they give you feedback like, hey, I really didn't like this thing about it, then you're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, let me do this. Let me change this up. You put it out there, see what they like. And then once you start seeing positive results with the thing that you've built, then you spend the time, money, and effort and invest extra resources into finding something. So sometimes we go into business and we think, just because you have an idea, the idea is the basic portion of it. How to build it out, you should allow the customer to tell you what it is that they're gravitating towards. And the hard part about this is people don't know what they want until they see it. And they're like, oh, I like that. Or they're like, So you just continue to build and put out maybe the stick versions of what you're doing, until you get to the portion to where you're like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. And we're going to continue to invest in that. So that way you haven't poured a lot of cash into a product that people just don't like, that they're just not feeling like that. And I mean, you could do it for a restaurant. Maybe you open up a restaurant and your first restaurant doesn't necessarily have a location. Maybe your first restaurant, you go into a ghost kitchen and you put it on Uber Eats and you put it on DoorDash. And then you get to see, hey, what do people order? What do they reorder? When people come back and order from me again, because like they order, like, look, when you ever have something that's good and you ordered it for lunch on Monday and Tuesday, you're like, I'm getting that again. Like, what is drawing repeat customers? And so instead of having, what's up, Rush? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So instead of having a menu that has 50 things on there, you're like, look, okay, I'm establishing my restaurant on these 10 things. What's up, the real Mo? You establish your restaurant on these 10 things. And then based upon these 10 things, that's when you really start pouring in your marketing dollars and you're building this out and you get the professional photographer. And that's when you really establish that. And then when you go into your retail location, people are coming into the location to be able, to get those 10 things. So that's how you make sure that you're building an effective business. And that's part of, what's up, Sarah's Fizz Biz? That's how you build an effective business. And that's how you figure out, hey, this is the thing that people really like. And so these are the types of strategies that I share with my clients to make sure that they're not wasting their time and they're not wasting their efforts. Why? Because even when you start a business, you yourself have a full life. And what you don't want to do is establish all of these things in your business and establish all of these things in your business just to get to the life portion, and your life is falling apart. Because then you'll have to take a break for your business, and then you're going to have to worry about life. And the goal is to where you want to build a life and you want to build a business to where you can consistently put efforts in that's going to allow to bring flow. And remember that the thing that you're building is a vehicle in which you use to fuel your life. But you have to get out of the scarcity mindset of it. Scarcity mindset is feed me quick, 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 quick. Gotta do this now. No, 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 right? And it has like a hint of desperation. And you ever feel like, and this is going to sound really, really, and I don't mean for it to sound this way, but it's the best thing. If you've ever seen like a drug addict and they're like looking for their next hit, they don't care what they're doing. They will completely change their plan for the day and what they were doing, and they're like, I'm here, I'm there, I'm here, I'm there, da, 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 and they're just chasing after the next hit. You can operate your business that way, where you're just constantly chasing instead of creating paths to where, like, oh, look, if I build upon this path, this thing is going to grow exponentially. And so you're never going to get to that 80K a month status of constantly changing things up. And look, let me see something. Let me see how this happens. If I just do this, if I do this, like, it's not going to, like, there is a portion of it that's luck, and then there's a portion of it that's strategy. And there's been times where it was just my month where it's like, oh my gosh, this is the best month we've ever had. But every time I think that, I go back and I look at the level of strategy, and really I was just reaping the rewards of the strategy that I already put forth. I was reaping the rewards of all the meetings with my team. I was reaping the rewards with the vision that we set forth. I was reaping the rewards of just everything that we put out there that made a lot of sense, that we're just eating the fruit of. So really think about that. And what this will also do is it'll bring balance to your life. Because guess what? As you're building, you still have to eat, drink, and sleep. Once you stop taking care of yourself, typically the thing that you're doing will start getting negative returns. Like even last night, I recorded a video. I know it would have been better if I weren't tired. But I also had another strategy where I'm like, look, this has to be out at noon, whatever, on Wednesday. And that's just the time. And so I was like, look, I had to use the strategy that I give to my clients. Like, even if you do it ugly, do it. Like, if you wait for the perfect time for everything, then what you'll end up doing is just never doing it at all. Never ever end up doing it at all. So you've got to be willing to do it. And let me tell y'all can go out here and get this money, and your ideas will absolutely make room for you. Your gifts will make room for you, but you've got to put the strategy behind it, and you've got to plan it. And you got to stop letting people waste your time and doing things that you have absolutely no business doing, things that are not your ministry, because all it is taking away from the things that absolutely are. So I just wanted to do that and go up here. Does anyone want to come up if they have any questions about their strategy, questions about their business? I'll give you like a few minutes of doing this. Anyone, you can just request. I think you can request to join, or I can add you on here, or put in the comments if you want me to add you, if you have a question about how you can help your business. My cousin just said Thanksgiving in Atlanta. Now, our household, we cater Thanksgiving. So, but is that wrong? I don't think it's wrong. Anyway, yeah. Let me know if you guys have any questions about how you can continue to develop your business to Thanksgiving is far. You got to plan ahead of time, y'all. I just said we do the cousins chat. You know, people, my family lives in Louisiana and Texas, and they got kids and everything else. We plan our stuff ahead of time. Yeah. Like, I don't play. Like, look, if we're doing Thanksgiving here, you know, I'm like, all right, this is where the hotels are. Let's get the hotels booked. Let's do this, let's do that. Everybody in the family knows. Everyone in the family knows what the plan is. So that way, there's no question about it.